Welcome. Hello. It's time for Blocktalk. Had a little bit of a break here, but it looks like we're about a year after the halvening on our Bitcoin clock here. We're on Bitcoin block 475968. So yeah, just humming along real good, and got another 3 years until the next halving, but I'll just fly by. Looking at the status of the network, mempool's chilled out a little bit, but you gotta keep an eye on that for your feeds. Our sponsors for the show today, Bittrex, next generation crypto exchange, registered in the United States and fully licensed. These guys are adding new markets like every day, it almost seems. They got a bunch of Ethereum pairs too, if you don't like touching that nasty old Bitcoin with all the volatility we're seeing. So yeah, check them out today at bittrex.com. And our other sponsor, CoinCards. So coincards.ca, you can go and cash your Bitcoin and other cryptos out for over 100 and some odd local retailers in Canada. They have digital and physical gift cards. And yeah, I just used it for the first time the other day, and I thought it was pretty good. I got some new IKEA furniture and, cashed out a little crypto. So yeah, props to them. So, as usual, I am your intrepid host. Hi, Alex, in the basement here, and say hello, our live audience. Hello. Oh yeah, it's packed house here because everyone wants to hear from Swarm City. So we have the king, Flurkle, and also his friend Matt. Hey,
just some dude, Matt, that he brought along.
Sorry,
I'm just here for moral support. I'm just here for support.
The whole king thing is, of course, a pun on decentralization, right?
Oh, I just saw it as your handle here, so I didn't really know what to make of it.
Oh no, it's just that. It's just making fun of old royals. Here in Europe, it's a really fun thing to do.
Well, we heard from you or last time you were on the show. It was earlier this spring. So who is your partner in crime here? Matt, what's your role for the Swarm City team?
So I tend to say that I run a communications hive in Swarm City. So I tend to do a lot of the podcast interviews. I do a lot of writing. Many of the Medium posts that go out, I either write or co-write. Flurkle and I will get together, especially if it's like a dev update or something, and kind of talk through what's happening, and I'll try to translate that into the plainest English as possible. I'm not a developer, so it's a complicated thing for me, but I love to learn about it, and so it's a really cool thing to be able to sit with him and hear about it, and then try to decipher it into plain English for everybody else. So I handle that stuff, and just communications in general. Like we did our live stream release. I worked on that among other things.
Cool. So you could be like the translator, I guess, for all the dev speak.
Every project needs one.
Yeah. Somebody's got to be able to put it in layman's terms. So last time we spoke, we checked out the awesome web wallet and like how convenient and simple it is, and it is great for the layman. I've definitely sent a couple people there to receive some Swarm City tokens, just with how simple it is to use. So what has changed since then? What's been the last 3 months for Swarm City?
Flurkle, do you want me to handle that, or do you want to talk about it?
We'd love that.
Yeah. So you may remember from the last time, Alex, that the dev team is moving through 3 major releases. The first one was the terminal. That was the web wallet, sort of the identity. The individual identity kind of portion of the city. And then the second release is called Boardwalk, and we released that June 15th, actually. And then third release is Storefront. So we're sort of in that in-between period between Boardwalk and Storefront. And so what Storefronts do, what Boardwalk does is just as Terminal was the individual, Boardwalk is the marketplace. So if you kind of picture it in terms of a city, you're a person and you want to do commerce, where do you go? You go to the marketplace. Well, that's what Boardwalk is for us. And Boardwalk will be a bunch of individual markets that will spring up. But the dev teams released the first market, which we we signify with hashtags, and the first hashtag is called Pioneer. So with Pioneer, users are able to find each other and transact in a decentralized way, which is a really cool thing, in using the wonderful technology that is blockchain and smart contracts. So that's the new piece, is really people are able to now not just exchange value by using the short code like you saw last time with the terminal, but actually to be able to enter into a deal, have an escrow situation occur, and a payout happen in an automatic way, in a decentralized way. So that's what's happened.
Cool. Sounds like there's almost some like search tools there to kind of highlight. And I know that was one thing. Talking with Griff Green shortly after that, he was talking a lot about the hashtags. So how do you like make these like keywords, these tags, a lot more discoverable? Yeah,
and the hashtag for us is a context. So it's the context by which we're doing commerce, right? And now Pioneer is the first one, so it only has that significance. It's just it's the first time that this type of thing has happened. But in the future, you'll see, potentially like hashtag contractor for maybe a homeowner to find an electrician.
Well, I think in the near future, you also will see like DevOps, for instance, because because of course we're gonna need a lot of developers, and we'll post probably a lot of jobs for that, right?
That's right. So hashtag DevOps, and then you'd post a request on DevOps, and then on the other end, someone would see that request and want to fulfill it. So the dev team could say, hashtag DevOps, we need someone to work on a storefront. You must have Polymer experience. We'll pay X amount of SWAT, and then someone following that hashtag can say, oh yeah, I've got that expertise. I'd love to take you up on this deal, and they'd agree on the deal together. Funds would go into escrow. Bob's your uncle.
So are there any postings or bounties for, let's say, ministers? Because I know the last show we heard, Flurkle, you managed to get married on the blockchain.
Yes.
How's that been going since? Has there been a divorce on the blockchain, or is it going swimmingly?
No, but in the real world, it was very troublesome. No, I'm just joking, of course. So yeah, Jen and me got married on Ethereum, basically, and it's really funny because of course of course it's a metaphor, right? But it's a really good one, because we have been working like almost like hand in hand together, you could say, for the last couple of months, making sure that we truly understand, as a dev team, we truly understand what the needs are of this community, because we are, the way we are working on it, it's like everything we create, we immediately test and the other way around, when our community comes up with ideas or problems which are way more interesting, of course, then we try to solve them in a decentral way, basically, or with like the principles we set forth for ourselves. So yeah, in a way, that marriage is still very, very strong and getting stronger each day. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, it's really, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Flurky, that it's marriage of the technology and the community. That's why Swarm City, I think, has got such a powerful groove going on. We have the technical to back up what the community needs. So yeah, I think that's pretty apt.
And I love how how do you say that, like the other way around, like most projects now are looking for users or for a community, but we actually we came in as a dev team into the in this community. We became community members, and I think that's a really nice thing, how that worked out.
Yeah, that's really where the core value is. I hear about these, multi-million-dollar ICOs, like these guys are raising capital, but like it's still going to be a year, several months before they really get a community built out. But
in the end, you're gonna need, in the end, with all the money in the world, I mean, it doesn't matter, right? You need to find like people to actually act upon like the vision that we all have. And I don't know. I don't think like the hundreds of millions will buy people. I think it's the other way around. I think we you first need people that actually state a problem, like this is what we want to do. Can you please help us? You know, make this in a technological way so we can do it.
And it's the community that's pushing you too. Like that's the thing, is like there's so much wind at our sails because they want this technology months ago. So so it's good because there's definitely like a hungry user group who've been saying, we need you to get this done. We need you to get this done. So.
Now, the main user group was the old Arcade City, the kind of ride-sharing app, and has that community kind of had now full functionality? Have they been onboarded now? Like, are people sharing rides now with Swarm City, or is there transactions that are happening at this moment?
So some, but it's more obscure. Like really the most. So yeah, if you log into swarm.city now, and you can see the Pioneer hashtag, and you can click on the hashtag and just make sure your location services are on and search by world. You'll be able to see actual, live requests that are happening, and even requests that have been fulfilled. So deals that are working, but it's not specific to rideshare because Pioneer is a more general hashtag. It's really a proof of concept. It's, can we get the blockchain and the smart contracts to actually do this in the way. So it's sort of like, or in this way. So it's sort of like the backbone of the technology that needed to be put in place first before we could get into the specifics of, say, like a need a ride hashtag.
Can I make that sound more like technological? I don't know if I can.
Please do.
I mean, like, you guys have a live audience, so maybe you can vote on it. Like, do you want a more technological thing, or because both are? But I want to go into a little bit of detail. So what we have now, Boardwalk, you could say in a way that it's actually like an API, right? So we first lay down, like, let's say, the backbone, or what you could call in a more centralized word, the backend, which are the smart contracts and the Ethereum blockchain. And then we have to build sort of an API on top of that before we can go to the stage of creating a ride-sharing app with a nice interface, with the maps and all. And so normally you would, of course, not show your API to the public, but because we want to make sure that every little step we take is right or is tested. Like we feel that it's like an experimental laboratory, so we need to make sure that every step actually works. And so what we did was we created actually an interface for people to already start interacting with that API, because the deal making and all these smart contracts are already in place. But in that way, we can already test, like, what would people do if you give them just the opportunity to transact and value without a middleman, like peer-to-peer. What will happen? It's also like a really interesting question, right? It's maybe not technological, but it's a fun experiment. And so we already see, like, immediately we get feedback like, oh shit, we have a bug there, or we need to change something there, and then we can like immediately update it and push like a new version live. So the way we work is like really fail fast and then fix it and get it out again and test it again with everybody until we get that right. And in the meanwhile, of course, like conceptually, we are working already on the storefronts, but the really like heavy duty development work on that is, of course, for later, when we are sure that this API Boardwalk is working perfectly.
So have you guys been surprised at all with any postings or usage happening yet? Have there been some interesting ads, like, I don't know, Magic the Gathering cards? Like, have we gone full circle and now?
My biggest fear was actually when we launched it. It was a really fun experience in New Hampshire, in Portsmouth. But my biggest fear was, like, I didn't dare to look, like, right after the launch. I didn't dare to look what people would post, because I would think that it would be like really weird shit, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not.
Maybe don't say it, but troll stuff, yeah.
Because it is like totally not censored, right? And you can post anything, and especially in these like really early stages of what we're doing, you could post anything. And to me, the biggest surprise was actually that nobody is doing that. Like everybody is really trying to play with scenarios or with certain kind of deals, going from ship me some coffee from your place to my place, or but also like find a bug in a contract and fix it. So we see all these kinds of ideas and activities pop up. There was there was also a ride share. There was already a request for like kind of an Airbnb for somebody to stay somewhere. So that's the fun thing right now, that actually the community or like the really early adopters are throwing in ideas, for us to maybe think of, or for other developers to develop on. So I totally forgot the question. Sorry.
No, just if ride shares are happening, which so yeah, there have been some of those and some Airbnbs which are like. But the thing that struck me too is that it's not just those types of transactions. It's also like goods, and it's not just services. It's not just share. It's also it's goods as well. It's like all the different types of transactions. Even if it's not like the easiest experience on the user right now, they're like experimenting with all different types. So people are like shipping coffee to each other, coffee beans, not like coffee in a mug, but shipping coffee beans to each other, or the Airbnb or the rides, like Flurkle said. There's like someone's looking for a power adapter for HTC Vive. All sorts of stuff is happening. So it's cool to see that they're just experimenting, which is what I'd hoped anyway.
Well, yeah, that's just it. When it's uncensored, anything can really happen. Sorry, Flurkle, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, we had it in the Blocktalk community. Actually, there were some. There's a guy in New Zealand who really wanted to try some cookies that are only available in Canada here, and then it ended up being like this huge cookie swap between like people all around the world, and just like the stroop waffles from the Netherlands, and like the maple leaf cookies.
Kind of cookies. Okay.
Oh yeah. So I think that could be a really good handle if you guys capture that excitement in that market, create like a cookie swap. It'd be real good.
Just throw in some like other kind of cookies, and it's like, oh shit, like they end up in Australia with like the Dutch cookies, which would not be good, right?
Many questions around the room here. I know we're filling up here. We got quite a few live audience members. Chelsea, any questions? No.
Oh no, just hey Flurkle. And well, one thing that I think is interesting. I literally, I guess it was like a day and a half ago, I was hanging out with Flurkle, and I think what's interesting with Swarm City and with many of the companies in this space right now is y'all are cast across the globe and just kind of like meeting up together in places. And I realized I didn't even know where you were calling in from, Matt. Like, where are you posted up at? And y'all have like a LA company meeting, and so it's just really cool. Like this day and age, we can do this. So where y'all at?
I'm in New Hampshire. I'm on the seacoast of New Hampshire. You're an East Coast kid too, right?
Yeah, originally. You're living free or dying. Most ready for Bitcoin ever, New Hampshire. Just
that's
like,
right.
Oh, get away from me. And Flurkle, you're in Antwerp, right?
Yeah, right now I'm in Antwerp. But yeah, you're absolutely right. But the really weird thing we noticed when you work together like this, on Slack and through, of course, this screen like this right now, it's really intense, of course, mentally, because you have like you all have probably noticed this, right? It's like a very mental connection you have. But after a while, and I don't want to sound like really sad here, but after a while it gets lonely. Like the physical, you are working with like hundreds of people. Some of us are, I'm not working with hundreds of people, but some of us are. And then you look up from your screen, and it's like, oh shit, I'm like, alone, or maybe like in a co-working space or something like that. And it's totally weird. So yeah, we really try to get together, a lot, not only like Swarm City team members, also with other Ethereum projects, because we all feel like this, like we have now a really good developer who's working from China. Of course, Matt is like East Coast, but Tommy is on West Coast. So this means to me that my working days are sometimes, like never ending basically. And I go to bed talking to a developer, like, and then I go to bed and then I wake up and he's still working, right? Stuff like that. And that's really weird. Or while we work, somebody wakes up and then stuff, and it's really a really shocking experience. Yeah, but I'm getting used to it now, so that's good.
Totally different. Like there's nothing like, I mean, yeah, there's nothing like it. There's no workforce like situation like it where you can just be with people from all over the world. And it's second nature now. Like I know people's time zones. I know they're 6 hours ahead of me. Like I'm like, yeah, it's 9 your time. I'll be there, you know, whatever. It's like you totally become second nature.
And we all look really, really tired all the time. That's also the same.
I'll have this experience where like I wake up pretty early in the morning and I can't wait to like get to my computer because I'm like, what have the dev team done in the last 6 hours when I've been sleeping, you know? So.
Yeah, like traditional markets closing, you know, having the 5-day week, and then moving now to like trading 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's amazing what happens now outside of the traditional hours. And yeah, I think it becomes really hard to almost like pace yourself.
Can I speak to that? Can I speak to that?
Yeah,
because even though these markets are like, they have like closing hours, which is like really weird to me, but anyhow, but let's be fair, right? All the trading is done by bots. So they don't care what, you know, time zone they are, and so it's all high speed trading, especially on like the fiat. I mean, like on the I would say old world like markets, right? It's all bots. So I don't know why they have closing and opening hours and stuff like that, and why there are people ringing a bell and stuff like that, because it's just AI. I mean, it's not really good AI apparently. So.
Oh, it's just a film set there in New York now. It's where they film commercials and stuff. So I guess with the comparing now, Ethereum has really grown up a lot since we last talked. Where now the network is almost having scaling issues. I would dare say it is having scaling issues. So what sort of challenges is Swarm City facing? I know you guys are using the Whisper protocol and stuff, so you're not necessarily using the blockchain, but more like a chat messaging on the side of it. Like, can you maybe speak a little more on how the network scaling issues have been affecting your project?
God, I mean, I can answer, I want to speak about the Whisper thing and stuff, but how the network scaling effects have been affecting our thing. I mean, I'm really in a different time zone, so I hope you forgive me. Like, I think like devs that are more in your time zone could answer that question way better. But you say like it's not part of the blockchain, but it is part of Ethereum, right? So the message signing, the whole identity stuff and encryption is of course in there. So I mean, it's not literally on a blockchain, it's true, but it is run, you know, by all these nodes, etc. So it is decentralized. But yes, we are working with Whisper, but actually it's not the only. So sorry, I'll rephrase this totally. We have been having a big like magnetic effect on a certain type of developers, like the last couple of weeks, maybe months. I don't know. Time is like a weird concept now. And this means that actually we could go back to R&D and prototyping, what like the original dev team is really good at, and we have also really good production developers right now. So this means that we actually are looking into several different ways of solving the problems that are, you could say, like protocol. What we want to do, basically, how to solve that. We have several ways to do that. So right now we are doing it over Whisper. All the communication. So it's basically like the interfaces you see in the app are basically like a Google Doc where you work in together, and all that is happening over Whisper. And then of course the actual deal making and transfers and stuff like that, that's written to the Ethereum blockchain.
So
does that answer somewhat the question?
yeah, no, I think you covered it well, because like the settlement of like all these transactions that are happening, any exchange of value, it is all happening in the blocks. And if the blocks are full, you guys are going to have the same sort of issues. But
yeah, everybody's going to have that, right? I mean, the reason why I hesitate to answer that question is because it won't be like a Swarm City problem. It will be an Aragon, Give It, you know, all these projects. It will all be a problem for them, and in a way, I think it might sound weird, but I mean, yeah, in this space, like in this decentralized space, you really have to choose for yourself, like the limits where you want to work in, because it's like really easy to get you know, totally distracted by everything that is happening, and trying to solve several problems at the same time. But what Swarm City is trying to solve is a really, really specific problem, and like you have the Ethereum people that are going to make sure. I truly, I mean, I totally trust these guys, because it's about trust, right? All these issues, you know, they will solve it because the value that people put in there now, and I'm not talking about like traders and investors, but like really the communities that we now see growing as an abstraction layer on top of a blockchain for the first time. I mean, I'm quite sure that we will solve these issues. I don't think it's like really issues, because there's such a amazing incentive, and this incentive is I mean, the monetary incentive is interesting, but with Ethereum you have an actual like human incentive. The people would really want to see change in the world through this technology, and they truly understand that that will be possible. So you know, I'm not a guy that wants to talk about all these problems all the time. Sorry. I mean, we will solve that, and I'm trying to solve the specific problem that Swarm City is trying to solve.
Yeah, I guess my question was more geared to like, you're using Whisper kind of for like this instant settlement sort of thing, but like there's still the final settlement that's happening in the block. So I was just curious, during these periods of peak usage that we saw with Ethereum, were there issues that things weren't getting settled properly from the Whisper to the blocks?
I think our solution right now is still such a like proof of concept that it would be, that it's not like a great like barometer to see what's happening to Ethereum up in this moment. But you have a point. Like right now, you know, we should do something about the ICOs, right? Because every time there's an ICO, then all these projects have a problem. So we're trying to solve that. Can I talk about something else? I mean, with Trellet, have you heard already about that? It's like a side project that we want to use in several like ERC20 like projects.
Sorry, what was the name again?
Trellet. I'll put it in the chat. That's maybe
Trellet.
It's Trello. Trello, the software, the project management software, and Ether, ETH. So Trell-F.
Ah, okay.
So what we actually try to do is to reverse the ICOs. There's one thing missing, I think, in ICOs, and it's like people are sending like ETH, for instance, to a contract, and then they get the token like right back, right? The thing that is missing is that there's actually there is no value creation in between, except for like a monetary thing. So if you can say like, okay, you send Ether to that thing, but only when a certain task has been done, it will be translated into like project tokens, and then you get them. You see what I mean? And so in that way, you can actually do an ICO, but start like with the smallest task, instead of having a white paper and then hundreds of millions of dollars, and you don't know how to spend them, and you have a big governance issue then, of course. So instead of doing that, you can just like sponsor really small tasks and grow the ICO over time. And so that's what we are trying to work on with several like people who over like in several Ethereum projects, basically.
Yeah, like that's oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that I put the article in our chat, in our Hangout chat, so that you can take a look if you're interested later on.
Yeah, that's true. We have like a screen here, right? Alex's screen is shared.
Yeah, I got the screen share going. I'll get it pulled up. And that's really where.
Yeah, sorry to totally segue there, but it was just to me what I wanted to. My point being was like, you know, there are many problems to be solved, and those are like, it's not problems, and it's like big challenges, right? Like, how do we do this? Even nobody knows. It's like the first time, and you know, everybody is trying this from his own skill set, and that's, I think, a really cool thing. So the more like diverse skill sets you get into this community, the more probability you create that we solve it like really soon, all these problems.
Well, and I think it's partly trying to recreate an old system of like, you know, high frequency trading where everyone wants to buy into an IPO at a certain instant, and it is a race to on the clock. But when you're dealing with a blockchain where like time is much more relative, like everyone is kind of equal, and there is like a 15-second delay, like the thinking shouldn't be the same of how do you use that system. Like it shouldn't be used the same way of just everyone pile into the same contract all at the same time. Like if you can change it to like a more of I guess a fluid process, like you were saying, like a kind of like a bounty system, like a tiered ICO or a long-term ICO that is driven off of people actually delivering results. I think that would definitely be a game changer, and it would solve more than just the scaling issues. I think it would solve a lot of the regulatory issues we're seeing, or people who are taking advantage of the really intense market that's going on right now.
Yes, I agree.
Any questions in the room here? Taylor looks antsy.
Yeah, most of
Step on up, T.
When users use your service, they go to your website, right?
Swarm.city, yep.
How is that decentralized?
Oh, that's a great question.
Great question.
Matt.
Oh, Flurple. No, my friend. No.
Don't everyone answer at once.
No, you're absolutely right. Of course, the domain name right now, it's Web 2.0. No, it's like Web what? 0.0? 0.1, I'm sorry. The whole domain naming system is, of course, not decentralized. That's true. Yeah, that's a really great, that's a fact that you stated. I mean, we are not going to solve that, right? I mean, Swarm City is not trying to solve the problem of the domain name system being centralized. There are way other projects like the ENS, the Ethereum naming system, that will enable us to actually truly decentralize the development effort. So what you will see, I can't say when. I mean, it depends all on how fast these other projects are moving. But what you will see at a given time is actually a decentralized developer community that will agree basically on a code base. They will say like, yes, I vote that this code is like the right thing. There's no weird stuff in there. That's where I put my reputation on. And all these developers together, and maybe even the community, will stake their reputation on, yes, this is the build, this is the version that we all agree on. And that will be presented on the ENS through like smart contract stuff, right? So right now we're doing the best we can, right? I mean, we're not trying to solve like everything. We think there are, in the decentralized space. I mean, it's not about what you want, right? You have to look at the problems that exist and that present themselves, and then you say like, oh, nobody is doing this. Oh, maybe I should do it then, right? And yeah. So sorry, does that answer the question? You were really right.
So it is decentralized in some sense because it's settling on the Ethereum blockchain.
Yes. Yeah, certain aspects we cannot still do, right?
When that contract or transaction gets made, who is currently paying the fee on that transaction? There is some fees in Ethereum. Who is paying?
Like the gas fee is paid by the person creating the transaction. So yeah, if you do like on our wallet, on our Swarm City wallet, on the same address, you need like some Ether to pay for the gas when you do a transaction.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, many projects are paying the fees for the users and not passing that on, and I think it's good that you are passing the fee on to the user. Because
yeah, of course, because who's paying it then? I think it's weird that you introduce like a totally central economic party to this that is paying. I mean, what project is doing that?
0x, I think, is planning on doing it.
Yeah, I think many of the ICOs are financing.
Yeah, okay, maybe they probably have really good reasons for that. I mean, I can't speak to that.
The one I heard was 0x was just like if you have a token, say you have Swarm City token, like you need to have some ether for that. So if someone gives you Swarm City, like how are they able to transfer that without having any ether?
Yeah, God, that's an interesting problem, right? And so everybody is looking for that. So the fun thing is that everybody's trying to solve it, but I think we actually got it. It's, I mean, Sponat should be here to explain this, right?
Yeah.
Because it's his brain fart, I would say, but it's a really, really nice smelling one. But it's really cool because actually we are looking into, I said earlier, like automated trading. We're looking into a way so to make sure that when people's gas is running out, which is also a fun metaphor in like Swarm City, you know, you're driving around and you're so what actually will happen is that the app will suggest that you trade a little bit of your Swarm City tokens, hopefully, for a lot of ether in the future. And then, like with one click on the screen, you do a tap on it, then it will automatically trade SWAT for ETH, and then you are good to go. But the smart contract system that will allow for this is really interesting, but maybe it's really technical, I think. So, but it's really fun stuff, really.
Who would be backing that trade from ETH? Like, who would be holding the ETH? Like you said.
Yeah, so that's a fun thing, right?
That's the amazing part. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody. The market.
Like they would be exchanging using another application like 0x or
we would really tap into the smart contract system for an exchange and actually make the trades happen. So and we could incentivize that, you know, by setting certain how do you say that, like sell and buy incentives, like we
like
could,
yield spread.
Sorry,
I think yield spread, like
I don't know. I don't know these economic terms. I'm sorry, but you see the point I'm trying to make, right? It's just like people want to sell their SWAT for a good price, and then other people need it, like for the gas price, and we just connect that through a decentralized like exchange. That already you saw that with EtherDelta, right? That it's possible. So we were looking into their contracts and seeing what we can come up with. Well, Sponet is really focusing on that kind of R&D, of course.
Well, and I'll mention too, there's marketplaces like our sponsor, Bittrex Exchange, who has some Ether pairings, and the spread's been getting a lot better. But when they first started out, there was actually like a 20% spread on a lot of those pairs. So I think over time, as more people use it, the spread does get better, and like that availability of exchange. But yeah, setting up those.
The cool thing is that Sponet is actually, I can see her in the chat, like the YouTube chat, that is Sponet is actually starting to explain, exactly how it works. So I know there's a delay, right? So how does that work then? He's like in a different time zone, but it's only minutes. Is it later, like what we see in the chat?
It's maybe like a 15-second delay to the live chat, to the live viewers.
Okay, so Sponet, please continue. Explain this, because I mean I'm not gonna be able to do that.
So yeah, like to have something like an EtherDelta or basically a decentralized exchange, these are all contracts that someone would be able to tap into, and over time, like the liquidity on them is getting a lot better. Like even if you compare something like Counterparty on Bitcoin, like the spreads aren't even as good anymore on that compared to on EtherDelta. Like EtherDelta actually does a decent amount of volume for a lot of trading pairs before they even get on regular exchanges. But those are all contracts that can be called by your application or any other one. So it eventually turns
not of course by the user, right? It's not like he will use our application as an interface to do that, but the call will be made. I mean literally, like in technologically, the call will be made by the user. There will be no like middle thing. See,
But could there not be a smart contract of a buy and a sell ready, and then like they're always able to sell Swarm City, but somebody is still, I guess, somebody is putting up that spread. Like they're always saying, like, I will accept Swarm City for some Ether, so you're able to use the Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah, something like that. But I just wanted to make sure that that there will never be like a middle layer, a middleman in Swarm City, just to make sure that that's like really clear. But can you say that Bittrex is sponsoring? Can you maybe then ask them that I really would love a trading pair like Ether Swarm City tokens? And
I thought they already had one, but I'll be sure to shuffle that along to Bill when I collect the checks. So I'll let them know that they really need the Swarm City pairing if they don't already have it.
Otherwise we will decentralize it. You have to tell them, or what, or else they like we'll decentralize it.
Well, it's funny how much they're having issues with like people sending to like Bittrex addresses, thinking that it works like Shapeshift, or like because if you go to your account, you'll see that you have an address for Swarm City tokens and you have a separate address for Ether, but they're both tied to your account. People will send everything to the Ether account, thinking that it will automatically sell for them, like it. So they're actually doing a lot of work now on their back end with having smart contracts that automatically sort to the proper accounts and stuff. So it's kind of cool seeing like a centralized exchange using a decentralized tool to automatically handle like the settlement for them and the sorting. So it ends up saving them, I guess, a lot more trouble in the long run and improves usability. But yeah, just an interesting thing that from talking with them and how they deal with their user issues. So have you guys had any like user issues, or a lot of the guys that are in your community, are they fairly technically savvy? Or do you still have some like little old ladies that are having a hard time remembering their short code?
Well, I think the
sorry, that makes me laugh. I'm sorry, I had to laugh with it.
I mean, the user experience in Swarm City right now using Boardwalk is still pretty raw. So I think like maybe my senses, and I could be wrong, but my senses for the first few weeks after the release, when people were using it, you saw a larger cross-section of type of people who were trying to use it, and I think they had some difficulty. But we have great support with Jen who were helping people through it. But I think now, because we're trying to make clear that the user experience is raw and it's going to continue to get better, but it's raw now, I think the people who are using it right now are the ones that understand how to negotiate it pretty well. Would you agree, Flurkle?
I totally agree.
Thank you. And thus, consensus.
Yes.
We have the silent majority in here too. Any other questions in the room here? Guys? David? Question? No? Okay. All right. Taylor?
So Bitcoin maybe soon will be upgrading to segregated witness, and that's going to allow the Lightning Network. Are you worried about competition from Bitcoin in this decentralized Uber type application?
Well, sorry, no, I am not. I'm not. I mean, I'm doing Swarm City, man. I'm not doing like I'm not working on behalf of like the Ethereum Foundation or the Bitcoin Foundation, or I don't know. I mean, I don't understand the question basically. Well, I don't know. I don't see how these two things are connected to each other.
Well, I don't know.
Are you asking, do they fear a competitor will go up and run on the new, like, scaled Bitcoin network?
Yeah.
Yeah. See. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. No. I mean, no, because I mean, there is no. I mean, maybe it's because the space is like so young and early that it doesn't feel like competition. Maybe that only happens like, but how can a decentralized community where people can actually choose, like, I want to be in this Swarm City community, but I also want to use the app. I don't know, like every other app that will pop up. I mean, everybody is totally free to choose. Even we, as like we are, I mean, even we are really incentivized, of course, to create value for this token as a community and as a dev team. But I mean, if we like fail, or it seems that we are not like the right people to do it, then you see that these projects will merge, or people will, one of these people of this community will go to the other community, and we have that all the time. You know, we have so many people in our community that also are like really involved in totally other projects, maybe even other blockchains. That's okay. I mean, we're not trying to set up a centralized company here, you know, that keeps all the value. We are here to give, not to take, basically. So I don't see how we could have competition if you give. I mean, can you have a competition in giving? I mean.
So what considerations do you have for other Ethereum virtual machines, like Rootstock on the Bitcoin network, or I won't mention my own, but there are other EVMs that can run Swarm City in theory.
Of course. Like we already know. You saw. Sorry, Matt, I'm talking so much, man. Is that okay?
I love listening to you talk. You just keep going.
That's funny. Okay, so we saw it already. Like when you, the community will move, right? So, and the dev team is also the community. You already see like new projects popping up that are, you know, embryonic right now, but in a couple of years, or maybe a year, 2 years, will be like a way better solution for to solve the problem of Swarm City. I mean, we're not like married to Ethereum, right? We are just a community, and we want to use the tools that fit the problems that we try to solve best. So if I mean, there are like faster blockchains there, but currently I think Ethereum we as a community, dev community, we think that Ethereum is right now like the best solution to do this with. But I mean, of course, I mean, it would be really like weird if you stick to something that, imagine that it doesn't work and there's a better solution. Why wouldn't we go to that better solution? I will. So, and I think then, I mean, most people will want to have their value in that system then, right?
So is it on any roadmap to think about integrating Bitcoin networks or EVMs like
I mean, not with the people that I know of that are working on Swarm City. I mean, we never talk about that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, like as Taylor kind of was pointing out before, is like Bitcoin maybe has like a lot of fungibility and a lot of like user traction, especially with being like the namesake of like the blockchain space and like this distributed system. So to have that, I guess, that integrated into Swarm City, like how could I pay with, I guess, Bitcoin in Swarm City, like, or how does that functionality kind of look in the future?
You know, just shapeshift it. I mean, every transaction will always be in Swarm City token anyhow, as long, you know. So I don't see what you mean. Like, I mean, in the end, that's like where the community, you know, they want to express their value in Swarm City token, and I mean, that's like that's the symbol that binds this community together. So I don't get why if you want to use Bitcoin, you just shapeshift it to Swarm City token and you're good to go.
Well, I just think you can provide the functionality that you're trying to provide without having another token. Bitcoin is so established worldwide that why do you foresee the future?
Yeah, right now it is. Yes, that's true. Right now it is. It's like a dollar, right? Right now, the dollar is really established around the world. Do you think that will last? I mean, I see an explosion of tokens here. People want to use apps, right? I mean, they want to use apps apparently. I mean, that's what I see around me, like on every iPad and stuff.
And that explosion of tokens is an explosion of developers getting a bunch of money from the community. And
sorry, there's what?
It's like, I really see that the vast majority of these ICOs are developers getting money from the community to do their project and kind of inventing the need for a token in order to.
Yeah, of course. Yes, of course. Dude, it's like Silicon Valley 2000 all over again, right? Of course. I mean, everybody who has a little bit of, everybody is writing white papers and are trying to get as much money as possible. I mean, that's normal, right?
Well, a lot of the ICOs.
It's normal, but it's illegal in most cases. Like securities law is really broad.
And that's where like self-regulation tools like Trellis might be a good answer for it. But yeah, there are a lot of ICOs going on right now that are basically people getting validation on an idea. Like, hey, I have this idea. It's a really good one. I want to raise $10 million. All right, here's $10 million.
But listen, can I speak to that?
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think that's an amazing, cool thing? So basically, being smart and doing research is being rewarded, right? And being like a financial opportunist, like we had in the past, is being punished. I think that's a really good thing. So people that don't understand what they're buying into or don't want to research and don't know, they okay, they will lose value. But I mean I think that's it's at least an improvement on what we had before, right? Don't you think?
I think it's much more frictionless. That can be determined either way, but like the same sort of systems or like self-regulation kind of needs to be in place. That's
but it is in place, right? I think that of all these ICOs, you see how many will survive. Like how many of these? Do you remember Alta Vista? I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but do you remember? No, Yahoo gets like revived all the time, right? But it's but all the I can't even remember them. All these. We had like what, like 20, 30 search engines like competing. It was I don't know how long that period was, but that suddenly boom. It's like Google.
Personally, I use Bing all the time, but
no, but I agree with Squircle though. Like I feel like if I can, one of the things I hear in what you're saying is like we used to have the 9 to 5, 5 day a week stock market you were talking about. It literally was who you know. Yeah. You have to know someone to break into that. And now it's how good can you talk your idea? Like you could be completely unknown and then you pitch a really good idea in this, overinflated ICO space right now. It's not perfect, but it's an improvement over you have to know a small handful of very rich people in order to get tons of money thrown at something. It is,
but not only that,
community that
not only that is sorry. Not only that, but it's also it's a good way to learn. Like people are learning about this stuff that they never would have learned about before. And yes, there are people who are financially paying a price, but that'll change. Like you're not going to see. This will probably be the year for the ICO or the ITO. Next year it won't happen. People are going to stop funding these things, and they're going to really have to prove that their project is good before someone will fund them by using a tool like Trellis that makes you map out the entire project, or at least allows people to fund tiny, tiny, tiny pieces of the project that they understand. People are smart; they're going to get to it, and this isn't gonna. It's not going to keep happening.
I don't think so. I think people are buying into these things because they think they can get rich from it.
Oh yeah, I mean certainly some people, but don't you think? Like I believe that humans are smart.
And they're all going to lose it all.
Yeah, and I would mention too that this isn't the first like wave of ICOs either. Like these have happened before. It's just now it's on a level that's so much easier to like build your own token on Ethereum, where before maybe it was build.
These ICOs have one line of code in Ethereum. And the
can I address a comment? Can I address a comment in the live chat?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
But it might be like really delayed. But Christopher Entwistle. God, these names. Maybe it's a real name. So he says like it sounds like being a good salesman is being rewarded, not being smart and doing research. But I mean, I can simply answer that. If you have to sell something, right? I mean, that's where if somebody's trying to sell you something, then oh yeah, there he is. He's answering. So the delay is not that bad, by the way. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I worked for years in advertising, right? I sold that was like almost like my job. Basically, I was not selling like in a store, but I was helping sell a product. But oh God, Stefan, yes, Ponette is answering it. Like in the short term, you're right. He says. But the thing is, if we don't sell something, if people are even telling us, or your communication, sorry, Matt, but people are telling us your communication really sucks because I don't understand what you guys are trying to do. So, I mean, if we would try to sell this, then we're doing a really, really bad job. But for some reason, we are attracting the right people who do get what we are trying to do. And right now it's like early adopters and philosophical intellectuals most of the time. But it's really, really interesting. We are getting like all these people in our Slack, and they are discussing like the wildest ideas based on, you know, the problems we're trying to solve. And so, no, we're not trying to sell anything. And if an ICO is, if you have the feeling that an ICO is trying to sell you something and you don't really get it, then please don't buy it. It's okay. I mean, there will be abundance for everybody. It's not like the old market where, you know, you have to be the first and then you will be the only one on top and stuff like that. There will be tons of these communities, right? And and you see it already. You know how many of these tokens are there already. So the point, sorry, I go back to the salesman. Yeah, if you feel like you're being sold something, then don't buy it.
Can I add something to that? Yeah. The ICOs too, also kind of the flavor of the season. So adaptability is key. Like we started with Bitcoin, moved into smart tokens. Now we have ETH. I mean, 5 years from now, we're not going to be talking about the same things.
Right.
So it's not going to last forever, and we got to adapt with the times.
And the, like I'll say again, it's not like it's the first time it's happened. It's just the ease of it has definitely been tuned up, like where it is just one line. Like because back in 2014, 2015, you could tell what a scam coin was or a scam ICO was because they all use the same version of Bitcoin that's in like a how-to make your own altcoin post from like 2012. Like you can see that nobody put the effort in, or they put very little effort in. Like so, there's lots to be said on this topic with the ICOs and regulations, and that's probably going to be one of our guests next week. And if you guys have any people watching at home, if you have any good projects or you think they're good and you really want to know for sure, send them to Blocktalk. We'll just we'll tune them out. We'll find out if they're actually good.
Can I add something to the ICO thing? And that's the other thing. The other reason why I think this is a little bit different is because it's so public. Like everything that's happening is so public. Even the transactions are public. It's on a blockchain, right? Anybody who creates a scam right now is not going to be able to create a second scam. They're going to be so public, their reputation will be destroyed. No one will work with them or buy anything from them again.
Yeah.
I think there's several examples of people doing more than one ICO.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
but it's definitely like there's much more of this is the future of the credit.
Sorry,
like,
sorry. Again, are you guys following the chat or not?
No, not at all.
Rip dropping in here too. But we're running short on time. Like
I have to mention. He's asking me to mention stuff, and if sorry, but if Green asks you to mention stuff, you just do that. It's like a rule in Ethereum. I'm sorry. So Griff said, like, did you guys mention that you only raised $700,000 worth during your token sale? Yes. No, I didn't. So I mentioned it right now. And actually, are the only token sale to have actually, he's writing actually really, really very much. And actually, are the only token sale to have actually produced a product.
It's a pretty good point because, right now everything is way overvalued.
So that's an endorsement of you from Griff.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you should have Griff on. That's the weird thing. Griff is always here, right? In a way.
He's always watching. So as we're getting we're getting to the end of our time here. Can you guys tell us when can we expect Storefront? What's kind of the timeline on your next big release?
Matt, I'll let you make a joke on it, right?
Yeah, when it's ready. I mean, I think the dev team's really progressing quickly. There's a couple stages that need to happen before now and Storefront's out. Like the whole user experience is being refined currently, which is amazing. And then we need to open up hashtags so that everybody can create their own hashtag. That's the point, is not that any one person can create a hashtag, but any person can create a hashtag. So that has to happen first before Storefronts are ready. But what did you say, Wonks? What's the week run? Wooks.
Yeah.
Wooks. So yeah. Soon.
A couple of Wooks probably.
Soon. Yeah.
Okay, so we got our tradition on the show here that we end with Bitcoin price predictions. So what do you guys think Bitcoin's going to be priced at in a week's time? We're on a bit of a tear here. It's probably one of the big ICOs, maybe Tezos, is cashing out their $100 million in Bitcoin right now, and they're dumping the market. But Florco, what do you think the price of Bitcoin is going to be in a week's time?
I don't. What is it now? I have no idea.
Just get below $2,000. It's at $1,996.
Okay. And so what is the temperature next week?
Probably
No,
not
what do you
2,000
predict is
degrees.
I don't know. Add that times 2.
Don't make me do
42.
math. Okay.
Florco's saying 42.
42.
He's in Celsius. He's in Celsius.
All
Yeah,
right.
it doesn't matter. It can do Fahrenheit. It will be more.
I'll put you down for $4,200. How about that? Does that sound all right? You can be the high end.
No, not times 2, man. I meant like do the number, the temperature, like what is it, 160? Probably increase. I don't know.
Oh, geez. Okay. You want me to just write a number in for you? How about 286? Does that sound all right? Matt, what do you?
Thank you. I'm happy you did this. Now I didn't have to do this. So thank you for that.
Do you want it in USD or Canadian dollars?
Yeah, USD Bitstamp.
Bitstamp.
God.
50?
$50?
I think so. Yeah, that's probably where it should be.
Oh, wow. Your price is right now. Wow.
That was for tea.
I see how it is. All right. And since we got such a big audience here, I want you guys to shout out some numbers, and I'll just punch them in here.
A couple weeks from now, 1,800.
Next week.
1 week.
Next week,
1 week.
it'll clear 19.
1850.
1850. Taylor, anything?
2100.
2100. I'm going to say 1600.
1400.
1400. Any other
I want
numbers?
to take a spider.
17, 18.
Bring them up.
All right.
Come on, guys.
David, anyone?
That's either hate or hope.
Yeah.
2100, another one. Okay. Silent majority here is just gonna hope on a limb. They're just looking at this red candle getting bigger, and everyone's getting worried. All right. Well, this has been a great catch up here. I'm happy to have you guys on again, and maybe for the next release we can see a little more and chat and catch up and find out how the marital status is going.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
And yeah, we really appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks to our sponsors, Bittrex and CoinCards. And let's see. We'll see you in the next 1,000 blocks.
Thank you.